It's not every day that we, the auto workers, are on the same side as the dealers, the same side as the suppliers, and the same side as the shareholders. But today is that day, and we are prepared to take strike action to make Stellantis keep the promise.
United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain just made waves with a stunning announcement regarding Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares. And let me tell you, it's the talk of the town. This isn't just another press release, it's a game changer that's got everyone's attention. So what's the jaw-dropping news that's got everyone pointing fingers at the CEO? How will Tavares tackle these serious allegations? And what's the fallout for Stellantis and the hard-working people behind the scenes? What's really happening? The automotive industry feels a bit like a ship riding out some serious storms, and Stellantis is navigating a crucial moment right now. Recently, United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain threw down a bold critique of CEO Carlos Tavares, igniting a firestorm of debate around the critical topic of leadership accountability, especially as profits take a hit while executive salaries soar. And in a surprising yet calculated move, Tavares revealed his plans to retire in 2026. This announcement says a lot, showing the growing pressure and scrutiny from union leaders and stakeholders alike. But what's really happening here? What exactly are the United Auto Workers blaming him for? Stick around and I'll break it all down for you. But first, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. Leadership amidst crisis. Carlos Tavares, the driving force behind Stellantis, has become a focal point in discussions about corporate leadership thanks to his distinct style and bold strategic decisions that put a premium on efficiency and profitability. Under his watch, Stellantis has undergone significant cost-cutting measures that have not only reshaped the company's operational landscape, but have also stirred concern over the well-being of employees. Let's rewind for a moment. Carlos Tavares stepped into the role of CEO of Stellantis after the high-profile merger of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and PSA Group in 2021. His entry into this newly formed automotive giant was met with high expectations. Known for his pragmatic and disciplined management style, Tavares emerged as a figure who rarely shies away from tough decisions. His leadership has often prioritized the interests of shareholders, placing profitability at the forefront, even when that meant sidelining employee welfare. It's a balancing act that many leaders grapple with, but Tavares seems to lean firmly toward operational efficiency, which he believes is not just beneficial but absolutely essential in today's fast-paced automotive industry. Describing the current market dynamics, Tavares famously characterizes this era as a Darwinian period, suggesting that it's survival of the fittest out there. Only those companies that adapt swiftly and decisively will make it through the storm of fierce competition and evolving consumer preferences. His mentality echoes a sense of urgency, a belief that staying ahead is not just a goal, but a necessity for long-term success. This philosophy is put into action through his willingness to make bold moves. Tavares has shown no hesitation in restructuring existing operations or divesting underperforming brands, all in the name of streamlining processes and enhancing overall profitability. Under his leadership, Stellantis has rolled out a series of specific cost-cutting strategies designed to boost financial performance. These measures are not just fleeting actions, they form part of a broader strategy that aims to reshape the company while often unsettling the workforce in the process. A legacy in limbo. Let's start with plant closures. Tavares has made it a priority to shut down manufacturing plants that are underperforming or fail to align with Stellantis' strategic goals. It's a tough pill to swallow, but the rationale is clear. Reduce operational costs quickly. While these closures might bring immediate financial relief to the company, they have left many workers facing uncertainty about their job security. Picture the scene. A manufacturing facility that has been part of the community for decades suddenly goes silent. The human impact is significant, raising alarm bells not just for those directly affected, but for everyone in the industry. Then we have workforce reductions, another consequential strategy Tavares has employed. In tandem with the plant closures, Stellantis has engaged in layoffs, often presenting them as a necessary evil to maintain competitiveness in an increasingly challenging market. But let's be honest, this strategy has sparked outrage from labor unions and employees alike. For many, these layoffs aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They represent lives being disrupted, families facing financial financial strain and an unstable future simply for the sake of what some may see as short-term profit grabs. It's a bitter reality and a high-stakes gamble that has not gone unnoticed. Operational streamlining, however, is where Tavares believes real efficiency can be found. He has championed this approach across various departments within Stellantis, aiming to create a leaner, more agile company. This strategy involves consolidating functions, enhancing supply chain efficiencies, and cutting redundancies, essentially moving toward a machine that runs as smoothly as possible. The idea is that by eliminating excess, Stellantis can respond to market demands with greater speed and effectiveness. But how does this affect the workforce? While the goal is to improve operational agility, employees may find themselves doing the work of multiple people, adding pressure to an already strained environment. And let's not forget brand divestitures. Tavares has taken a hard look at the Stellantis portfolio and identified brands that don't meet performance expectations or align with the company's future growth strategies. This decisive action aims to focus resources on core brands with stronger market positions, ensuring that every dollar spent maximizes potential returns. It's a tactical move. Concentrate the company's efforts where they stand the best chance of success. However, with every brand drop, there's a story behind it. Models humans have worked on or invested in for years, now overshadowed by a ruthless quest for profit. The aftermath. The impact of Carlos Tavares' strategies at Stellantis is a mixed bag, brimming with short-term financial gains but laced with potential long-term repercussions that could threaten the company's overall stability. Let's talk about product quality. In the rush to streamline operations and maximize efficiency, there's a dangerous tendency to cut corners, especially when it comes to quality control. Tavares' aggressive strategies may yield immediate financial boosts, but if resources are continually reallocated towards cost-cutting initiatives instead of innovation and stringent quality checks, what happens to the cars? There's a looming risk that these vehicles might be stripped of the quality consumers expect and, dare I say, deserve. Imagine driving a car that doesn't meet safety standards. It's a recipe for disaster. Over time, this could unravel the company's reputation, leading to consumer distrust and a dwindling customer base. In a world where loyalty is hard-won, the price of this miscalculation could be steep. Strained labor relations are another critical fallout. The hard-hitting reality of workforce reductions and plant closures has strained the already fragile relationship between Stellantis management and labor unions, particularly the United Auto Workers, with union leaders like Shawn Fain vocally criticizing the moves as jeopardizing job security and fair compensation. A perfect storm of discontent is brewing. Employees are feeling the pinch, and the increasing tensions could rev up union activism, setting the stage for potential strikes that would send shockwaves through operations. Picture this: assembly lines halted, frustrated workers rallying for their rights. It's not just a workplace issue, it's a ticking time bomb that could disrupt everything. Now, let's dig into the dichotomy of short-term gains versus long-term viability. Sure, the initial financial results might appear rosy, but what's the underlying cost? If Tavares' cost-cutting measures alienate employees or erode product quality, Stellantis' long-term sustainability is in jeopardy. A company that leans heavily on low-cost operations could find itself floundering in an increasingly competitive landscape that prizes innovation and customer satisfaction. When the focus is solely on trimming expenses, will there be enough investment in the innovation needed to stay relevant? As we all know, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Speaking of staying relevant, let's look at market positioning challenges. While Tavares is busy slashing costs, competitors are pouring investments into electric vehicles and sustainable practices, setting a rapid pace in a race that won't be slowing down anytime soon. Stellantis must strike a delicate balance, juggling its cost-cutting measures while also making necessary investments in the latest technologies and infrastructure. Fail to adapt, and the company risks watching its market share slip away to more agile competitors who understand that innovation paired with efficiency can lead to a winning strategy. The United Auto Workers has taken a strong stance against Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, openly criticizing his cost-cutting strategies and the rippling effects these measures have on the workforce. As Tavares pushes forward with initiatives designed to crank up efficiency and profitability, the union's concerns have grown louder and more urgent, centering around job security, fair compensation, and the overall well-being of its members. This dynamic underscores a larger battle playing out within the automotive industry, a clash between the rights of labor and the corporate strategies that aim to maximize profits. Job security. One of the most pressing issues raised by the United Auto Workers revolves around job security. Workers are rightfully worried about the implications of Tavares' aggressive cost-cutting moves. The union argues that plant closures and workforce reductions are not mere business decisions. They threaten the livelihoods of thousands of hardworking individuals. A particularly contentious issue is Stellantis' decision to push back the reopening of the Belvidere assembly plant to 2027. This delay hasn't just stirred discontent, it has sparked fierce backlash from union leaders. They assert that such a delay blatantly violates contractual obligations, adding even more fuel to the fire that is job security for employees in that region. The frustration expressed by United Auto Workers leadership is palpable. It's not just the current employees who bear the brunt of these decisions. There's an insidious ripple effect that extends to potential recruits weighing their options for a career in the automotive sector. If job security feels shaky, who would want to dive into a field that seems to prioritize short-term financial gains at the expense of workforce stability? The sentiment echoing within the union is clear. Tavares' measures seem focused on immediate profit boosts, leaving critical long-term considerations in the dust. This situation highlights a significant contradiction. While Tavares perhaps envisions a streamlined and profitable future for Stellantis, the United Auto Workers is adamant that a workforce stripped of its security and rights only sets the stage for turmoil down the line. In this contentious atmosphere, fear and uncertainty fester among employees, creating an environment where morale dips and loyalty wanes. The union's outcry is not just an isolated incident, it reflects a deep-seated need for balance between corporate objectives and the protections of labor. Now, let's talk about the other critic raised by the United Auto Workers. Fair compensation. The topic of fair compensation has become a hot-button issue as the United Auto Workers voices its deep-seated concerns about how workers are faring under the leadership of Carlos Tavares. Union representatives are sounding the alarm, arguing that as Stellantis aggressively pursues profit-driven strategies, the workers, the very backbone of the company, are being left behind. While the executives chase profits, it's the workers who find themselves grappling with stagnant wages and benefits that are slowly slipping away. It's a frustrating dichotomy that simply can't be ignored. United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain has taken aim at Tavares, making it abundantly clear that he finds it unacceptable for the CEO to grant himself significant raises even as layoffs continue to ripple through the company. This disconnect highlights a troubling trend, one where executive compensation soars while the folks on the factory floor struggle to make ends meet. It's hard not to feel the tension here. Employees watch as the company's profits rise, yet their paychecks remain static. It's a recipe for frustration and resentment. Fain's remarks echo a growing sense of discontent among union members, who are increasingly vocal about the feeling that their hard work and contributions to the company's overall success are being sidelined. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into a job, and then watching as those at the top reap the rewards while you're left to fight for crumbs. That's the reality many employees face, and it's a sentiment that sows discord. The union's stance is resolute. Fair compensation should reflect not just the company's profits, but also honor the unwavering dedication and effort of its workforce. What does that mean in practice? It suggests that as Stellantis thrives, its employees should see that prosperity reflected in their wages and benefits. It's about building a culture where hard work is recognized, valued, and appropriately rewarded. As the dust settles on Tavares' cost-cutting measures, the balancing act between profit and people becomes clearer than ever. The stakes are incredibly high. If workers continue to feel undervalued, it could lead to a wave of discontent that disrupts the very harmony within the company. In this high-pressure environment, the question remains, will there be a shift towards a more equitable approach that recognizes the integral role of every employee in the company's success? What's the implication for the company? Impact on the corporate strategy. The implications of Fain's announcements for Stellantis and its workforce are multifaceted and profound. We're witnessing the dawn of a new era in labor relations, one that shakes the very foundation of how negotiations have traditionally taken place within this automotive giant. Fain's hardline approach has not just rattled cages, it's empowered union members in ways we haven't seen before. The ripple effects of these actions were felt throughout the industry, culminating in a historic strike in 2023 that encompassed all three major US automakers. This wasn't just a walkout, it was a loud declaration of solidarity and strength. The successful outcomes of these negotiations have laid down a significant marker, setting a precedent that could change the landscape for future labor actions. the United Auto Workers members aren't just passive players anymore. They've tapped into a reservoir of collective strength and are ready to fight for their rights and benefits. The stakes have risen, and there's no going back now. This newfound unity could translate into more powerful negotiations in upcoming contracts, creating a formidable force that companies will need to reckon with in the future. On the corporate front, Stellantis cannot afford to remain complacent. The criticisms from Fain haven't just come from left field, they hit right where it hurts. Pressure is mounting from union members, and Stellantis may find itself in a position where it urgently needs to reevaluate its corporate strategies. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, especially as the company grapples with maintaining profitability while simultaneously investing substantial resources into cutting-edge technologies for electric vehicle production. It's a balancing act, failing to address labor concerns adequately, and we could see an escalation in unrest among workers, which may lead to further strikes or significant disruptions on the production line. This is not just a wake-up call, it's a clarion call for change. To foster a more positive working environment, Stellantis may need to adopt a more collaborative approach with the United Auto Workers. It's time for dialogue, not just negotiations over contracts, but genuine discussions that consider the future of the workforce as the industry shifts towards electrification. But what about the human side of this equation? The impact of Fain's announcements extends far beyond the walls of boardrooms and negotiation tables. It weaves its way into the very fabric of employee morale at Stellantis. As workers pay attention to their union actively advocating for their rights and holding management accountable, a shift occurs. Empowerment breeds engagement. When employees feel their voices resonate within the company, they become more invested, more loyal, and more productive. This engagement isn't just a side effect, it can become the lifeblood of the organization. Revitalizing labor. Fain isn't just making noise, he's setting the stage for a seismic shift that could resonate far beyond the halls of Stellantis. His leadership and tactics have the potential to become a blueprint for other unions, not only within the automotive industry, but across various sectors. Imagine this, with a focus on transparency, active member engagement, and the power of collective action, Fain's approach could ignite similar movements in workplaces where employees feel undervalued or outright exploited. The United Auto Workers' success isn't just a victory for its members, it's a rallying cry that could inspire other labor organizations to get bolder and adopt more aggressive strategies when negotiating their own rights and benefits. As labor movements gather steam, corporations are being pushed to take a hard look at their practices, especially how they treat employees and structure their compensation packages. Fain's announcements are impossible to ignore. They shine a spotlight on an industry-wide issue that demands attention. This heightened visibility could spark broader conversations about corporate responsibility and ethical business practices that span beyond just automotive manufacturing. Just think about the ripple effect here. The renewed vigor of labor unions like the United Auto Workers can influence legislative changes on both state and federal levels. Now, that's a game changer. Policymakers could find themselves feeling the heat to enact laws aimed at strengthening workers' rights, defending against unfair labor practices, and providing additional support during crucial transitions, like the seismic shifts currently rocking the automotive sector as it dives headfirst into electric vehicle production. These changes have the power to reshape the very landscape of labor relations across a multitude of industries, creating a new dynamic where workers are not only heard, but empowered. The implications are immense. If other unions take cues from Fain, we could see a groundswell of support for labor rights that might fundamentally alter how negotiations are conducted everywhere. As the United Auto Workers leads this charge, the question becomes, how far-reaching will this influence extend? Will we find ourselves in a landscape where labor rights are protected stronger than ever before, and workers feel genuinely valued for their contributions? As the momentum builds, the answers may emerge in ways we couldn't have anticipated. One thing is for certain, the labor movement is gaining traction, and it's about time businesses start listening. The future of labor relations is evolving, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out. United Auto Workers versus Stellantis. Now, let's focus on the potential effects on labor relations. The tension between Stellantis and the United Auto Workers is on the brink of escalation. With Fain's bold statements, it's clear that dissatisfaction is boiling over. The union has grown increasingly vocal, attacking Tavares' leadership, especially around issues like job security and fair compensation. In a workplace where profits appear to take precedence over the well-being of workers, Fain's criticisms raise the stakes significantly. We are entering a territory where the risk of strikes and other forms of labor action looms large. charge. Already, the United Auto Workers has put forth threats of strikes at various facilities, signaling their readiness to take collective action if their demands go unanswered. This stance is not just bravado, it underscores a deeper willingness to stand firm against perceived corporate negligence. When we look at this through the lens of historical context, a clearer picture emerges. The United Auto Workers does not hesitate to strike when their members' rights are at stake. Just think back to the recent strike that enveloped all three major US automakers. It serves as a powerful wake-up call, a vivid reminder of the union's organized capacity to resist corporate actions that they deem unjust. If these boiling tensions remain unresolved, Stellantis could face severe disruptions in production and operations. Imagine the assembly line stalling, deadlines slipping away. This is not just a theoretical scenario, but a real possibility that could wreak havoc across the company. Moving on to another critical avenue, mobilization of union members. Fain's announcements could act like a rallying cry, galvanizing union members to become actively engaged in labor advocacy. As workers witness their leadership taking a stand against corporate practices, they may feel inspired to speak up and participate fervently in union activities. This newfound energy could lead to an impressive increase in solidarity among union members, which would undoubtedly complicate Stellantis' ability to navigate negotiations without adequately addressing worker grievances. What does this mean for future negotiations? A united workforce would undoubtedly bolster the United Auto Workers' bargaining position, making it stronger and more effective when negotiating new contracts. Workers would likely find themselves in a much better position to push for improvements, whether that means enhanced wages, better benefits, or more substantial job security. The very fabric of the current negotiations could shift dramatically if this wave of activism continues to build momentum. The future of work. The current landscape at Stellantis serves as a striking reflection of the broader challenges that the US auto industry is grappling with as it makes a decisive shift towards electric vehicles. This transition is not just a matter of switching up product lines. It represents a monumental transformation that involves rethinking everything from technology to labor relations. While many automakers are pouring resources into advancing electric vehicle technologies, they are simultaneously wrestling with the pressing question of how to effectively manage their existing workforce through this crucial evolution. As the industry pivots towards electric vehicles, labor relations become a significant focal point of concern. It's not enough to simply embrace this cutting-edge technology without addressing the very real fears of workers who are used to manufacturing traditional internal combustion engines. These employees are understandably anxious about their futures. Unions, particularly the United Auto Workers, are stepping up to advocate for their members, pushing for retraining programs that will help workers transition into new roles related to electric vehicle production. They are also demanding job guarantees to ensure that no one is left behind during this transformative period. The message is clear: as the auto industry evolves, so too must the workforce, and doing this without proper support could lead to significant unrest. Shifting gears, we must also consider the pressures of globalization that are currently complicating labor relations even further. The automotive sector is facing a crucial challenge as manufacturers seek efficiencies through global supply chains. This sounds good in theory, but in practice it often leads to tough decisions being made at corporate headquarters. Decisions that can have far-reaching repercussions for local labor markets. As executives strategize on cost-cutting measures and profit maximization, the voices of local workers can get drowned out, leading to discontent and a fragmented workforce. In addition to these internal struggles, Stellantis finds itself navigating a fiercely competitive landscape. The company is not just competing against its traditional rivals, it now faces new entrants into the electric vehicle arena that operate under fundamentally different business models. Many of these competitors may not have the same labor union presence or contractual obligations to their workers, which gives them a strategic advantage in terms of flexibility and cost. This dynamic adds yet another layer of complexity to labor negotiations at Stellantis. How do you balance competitive pressures with the need to protect and advocate for your workforce? In conclusion, the shifts toward electric vehicles at Stellantis highlight a pivotal moment for the US automotive industry, characterized by a delicate balancing act between innovation and labor relations. As we witness this monumental transformation, it is essential for automakers to recognize the vital role of their workforce in making the transition successful. The call for retraining, job security, and inclusive practices is louder than ever, and companies like Stellantis must adapt to these demands or risk significant backlash. The question remains, can the industry rise to the challenge and navigate this new terrain while keeping its workers at the forefront? Only time will tell, but the stakes are higher than ever.